Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Bureau Keynotes, where the award-winning original humor consultants help speakers deliver impactful presentations and boost their personal brands. Yeah, I hand it over now to Mr. Phil and Miss Susan.
Thank you, Ina, for being here tonight. Welcome, everyone. We are thrilled tonight to have the very own Mama Joy. And if you haven't heard her, you're in for a treat. If have heard her, you just can't get enough of her, that's for sure. So, Mama Joy is coming to us from Chicago. She still holds her birthplace in New Orleans, LA, a sacred place in her life's journey. Mama Joy strives for excellence and comes to Density 6 with a purpose and mission as she strives to develop her message through the Density 6 platform. She claims that Density 6 offers her the opportunity to hone her speaking skills and see possibilities for professional speaking growth. Please welcome Mama Joy.
Thank you. Dignity begins with me. Dignity begins with me. Growing up as a girl in a male dominated world down south, dignity was not something handed to me. It wasn't always preached from the pulpit or taught in schools. But over time, I came to understand that dignity is not what someone gives you. And through Destiny 6, I'm learning that it's what you wake up to within yourself. Let me take you back just for a few minutes. I was just a young girl visiting my grandmother down in New Orleans. We call her Mama Mary. My grandmother was a very strong, quiet woman who worked in the kitchen of a beautiful white household. And I was on an errand to see her on a job. I'd never been on my grandmom's job. My mother wanted me to get something from her. So she was explaining something to me while I was in the house, and I was noticing the beautiful floors and this great big bend clock. And in the kitchen, there were two sets of clocks. Two sets of pots. And I said, Grandma, why are there two pots? And so she explained to me that in one set of pots, you cook anything that had dairy in it, and the other is for the meats, but you don't mix it together. That was the rule in the house. So while she was explaining to me, and I was asking her, well, takes care of this house? Because it's so beautiful, it's so big. And she was saying, well, I do that. I said, really? And then this little child walks in, and I hear a little voice saying, Mary, oh, Mary. And I thought about it. I said, well, who is that and who is she talking to? And when I turned, the little girl, she must have been about 6 or 7. She was speaking to my grandmother. And I said, excuse me, this is my grandmother, and you're a child. Why are you calling my grandmother Mary? Because that's her name. I said, no, no. I said, she's my grandmother. And in my community, we address our grandparents and our elders if they're not a relative of ours, either aunt or miss or mister, but we don't call them by the first name. So she looked a little shocked, and I realized that my grandmother was trying to nudge me, saying, it's okay, it's okay. I said, no, Grandma, it's not okay for her to speak to you that way. That's disrespectful. So again, I turned to the young lady, but as I was about to address her again, her mother came in. And her mother says, what's going on? And I said, well, this young child here is calling my grandmother Mary. And to me, that's disrespectful. I, oh, Lord. And so the mother, as the child was nudging herself between her mother's legs and holding up this thing in her hand or a doll or something, and she was holding it tight because obviously she had not been addressed by this. This was something that her mom had allowed to happen. And so I spoke to the mom because she's an older person, and I respected that. And she said, I understand. I said, well, thank you, because in our community, we honor our elders. She's not just Mary, she's my grandmother. Maybe a week or so later, my grandma pulled me aside. My grandmother, I could see her sweating, but I still didn't factor all of that Jim Crow stuff. I didn't know because a child's place was of silence. That's how we survived. But I stood in a power of love and truth as I spoke to that mother. And about a couple of weeks later, my grandmother asked me to come back to the house. And I said, well, Grandma, why? You want me to come back? She said, because something has happened. Something's changed. And I immediately said, well, it got worse. Did they disrespecting you, Grandma? And she says, no, no, nothing like that. They gave me a raise. I said, they gave you a raise. And then she had a new uniform. I didn't even know my grandma was wearing a uniform until I went to the house. But she wanted me to see this new uniform that she had. And when I went back, the little girl came to the door. Hi, Joanne, how are you? I said, they're all lively. And her mother came, oh, we're so glad to have you back. Was waiting for you to come back. She didn't know my grandmother told me to come back because I hadn't intended to do that, right? But her mom said to me, she says, I didn't know that Mary had such intelligent grandchildren. And then now I had to grasp myself again. What? She said, I was really impressed with you standing up for her. And then I began to think as I prepared this talk tonight, I said, because my grandmom's been gone a long time. But having an opportunity to speak on a regular basis causes me to go deep into myself with stories that I either forgot or just knew them from the surface. But this experience, I realized that my grandmom had never experienced dignity. But through the wisdom of Destiny 6 and the grace of the divine mothership in me, I know now. It's not what others call you, but what I choose to embody. Because destiny begins with me. My grandmom didn't know it. My mom didn't know that. And my divine inheritance of dignity is not a reward. It's a birthright. But if you're not taught that, how can you reclaim it? And so today I stand before you not to ask for dignity, but to reclaim it. Because even 4 generations out of slavery, I now see that we inherited not just trauma, but also silence. We didn't inherit just chains, but we inherited and programs like that allowed us to don't ask, don't take, just endure. But tonight I'm speaking because I learned that I was not born to endure. I was born to embody divine grace. And so I say dignity is not given by the world. It is restored by the soul, and it begins with me. That was my first point. And the second point is this, that grace reframes my errors and leads me to elevation. I made many mistakes, and I've fallen into relationships that have gone south and roles that didn't honor me. But now I know that those were not curses. Preparing to speak this, you said life and death is in the power of the tongue, but I never realized what a school of life is really. And situations that come are like classrooms, not condemnations. As Mandela says, I never lose, I either learn or I win. And I'm learning. And now I'm ready to win. Yeah. On the last talk I had, Brother Phil told me, to read, to think How to Grow Rich. What is that? Think and Grow Rich. Read that. And like now, I unknowingly had rejected wealth, and not because it wasn't for me, but because I was taught to fear it. I was taught not to ask, not to do, and don't ask for anything. And in my foundational years, money was not seen as a virtue; it was seen as a danger. I'd heard that a rich man cannot enter heaven. I've watched people distrust wealth. And I was told in so many ways that having too much money meant that you were taking too much. I can remember a situation here in my home. My daughter came home. She said, Mommy, I found some money. She had found over $600. I panicked. I was quivering. I was trembling. I was afraid. I couldn't hardly think. And as I prepared this talk, I reflected and I trembled again because I didn't realize that that fear was still in me even now. Trembling, I went to the basement where my husband had put some things together, the Cabbage Patch dolls and socks and whatever, and I hid that money in the socks. I was a mother. Reflecting on that, I was a mother raising children. I still had fears, carrying something from the slavery programming. I reflected and I trembled. And I put the money in the socks to get it later. But my husband put things out a few weeks later, and the money was gone. Every time I desired more, I felt less. And every time I thought of wealth, I felt guilt. And I blamed myself for not being further along in my life. But now the virtue of grace has come. And grace didn't just forgive me, it reframed me. So tonight I'm showing that I cannot build a better life while fearing the materials. The virtue of grace said, Daughter, you were not made to scrape by. You were made to overflow. Now, by reading the Think and Grow Rich and looking at my life a little differently, I can no longer deny what I truly desire. Because wealth for myself, so I may rest. Wealth for my daily life, so I may give. Wealth from my legacy, so I may bless my children, my grandchildren, and the generations to come. Tonight, I'm saying I am not to be denied. No, not by God, not by the mothership that is in me, because wealth is not a sin. Lack of self-worth is. Poverty of the identity of yourself is a sin. So grace showed me that poverty of the soul does not please heaven. Grace taught me that money is not evil. This preparation is telling me that the misuse of the power is. And I'm declaring again before you that I no longer misuse my power by staying small. I'm worthy to receive so I can deliver. You can't fear wealth and expect to bless the world. And the third point tonight is that I claim to be a voice of influence, a divine feminine strength. 8 cycles of decades in my life, I say to you that my voice matters. Your voice matters. My confidence didn't come from being unhurt. It came from deciding that my life still had a purpose beyond the pain. And I'm not here to blend into silence. I'm here to speak life, to be supreme, and to remind you that we are made in the image and likeness of a God who is both father and mother. And the feminine essence of the divine lives in me. It lives in you. And through her voice that is in me, I raise and rise up with joy to speak to you with wisdom and resilience, not despite my age, but because of it. I am the voice of a mother who gets a dignity from the divine. That's the great alignment. And I showed up today so that someone else may decide to rise because I'm a living testimony. This life, it's mine. These wrinkles, they are my ribbons of wisdom. And these years, They are the proof that grace kept me, taught me, and grew me. Oh God, I'm not here to ask for dignity. I'm here to own it because I didn't come this far to apologize for being radiant. I came this far to shine and to remind others that they can too. This week, I ask that you take 10 minutes, just 10 minutes to sit with yourself, not with your titles, not with your pain or your past, but with your essence of grace and dignity, and ask, what do I believe I'm worth? What do I believe I'm worth? Number two, what have I overcome that I haven't celebrated yet? Think about that. And number three, what would it look like to walk in the dignity that is already yours, already mine? Dennis Kimbrough, in his Think and Grow Rich, says before you can achieve the life you desire, you must become the type of individual that you desire to be. Then write one sentence. I am worthy of wealth. I am worthy of dignity and love because I was made in the image of the divine. I'm not here to just speak to you, but I'm here to live as proof that dignity can rise from the ashes and that the voice of a woman made in God's image is never too late to influence the world. So tonight, I give thanks for your presence and I give praise for this Destiny 6 opportunity. And to also speak that which is in the scripture, which solidifies me in that alignment. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them male and female. With that, take note that your dignity is your design, not optional, not earned, but ordained. So, thank you. Namaste.
All right, everyone. Let's give her a round of applause.
Woo.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo.
Oh, do we have any questions? I got one.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to the $600?
It left.
Yeah.
I, it's gone. My husband, I think he either took it to Goodwill or wherever he's put it, because I didn't know he was throwing those things away. You know, he was a sticker for certain order, but we had put that in a great big bag, and we were going to supposed to go through that together, and I honestly was so fearful about it until I was scared to go back in it. You know, I never thought about that experience in this way until I prepared to speak. Now,
Right.
my daughter that found the money, she was a kid. It's something how we can have such a relationship. It was painful. And she'd asked me about it. I said, well, we'll talk about it. We'll get it back. But she never mentioned it to me, and I didn't either. But I didn't realize that was traumatic to me because I was afraid of it. I was afraid of holding that money in my hand. And he didn't know it was there. I was the only one who knew where I put it in the sock.
That's amazing.
Shame.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was very traumatic for me, and I felt guilty because I said, "Oh my gosh!" If I thought a little bit, I said there was a couple of banks around there that I could have asked if anyone had come and claimed, but at the time, I was in trauma, and um, and that's something that I realized that It's, I went to Landmark and I learned about things that you don't know. But there's a thing that goes, there are things that you don't know that you don't know. And I realized that with me not knowing that this situation had come from my experience as a child. I mean, we would get beaten if we accept money from somebody. We did something, so money was something that you shied away from. So and that was part of my training. And even though I had a job and had children and was married and matured, that thing was still in me. And when I prepared for this talk, it was still in me and I was still trembling. But I
That's
broke through
amazing.
it. I
Yeah.
broke through it. So the reality of the need for one to be able to hold sacredness and precious memories about your past, regardless what it is, it's a classroom, the school of hard knocks or whatever, but we learn. And that was something I ran away from, something that has been buried for a very long time. But it was still impacting. But I would not have gone there if you hadn't told me go and read and go through Think and Grow Rich. Hello. Hello.
Wow, that's great. All right. Now it's time for our praise parts. You'd like
Oh
to be the first person to.
wow. That was my time clock. I said I was a little early. Okay.
All right. Anyone would like to pour back into Evelyn with praise?
Mama Joy.
Mama
Yeah,
Joy.
always.
Yes, Who's
Yeah, this is, oh,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead, Evelyn. I'll wait.
Oh, okay. Mama Joy, you gave us so many good nuggets, but I love the third one. We are a voice of influence, and my voice matters. So we're not to just endure, but to embody. I love that. And grace just didn't forgive me, it framed me. And I'm not to be denied. And we should go on and walk in our dignity that's already ours. Uh, and to tell ourselves that I am worthy of wealth, dignity, and love because I was made in God's image. So many nuggets, but you did a phenomenal job articulating your points with poise and grace. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And next.
You actually noted that. My God, thank you.
All right, Mama Joy. My voice is kind of rough, so I apologize for that. But it's always a pleasure listening to you, and you do remind me of a mother, a grandmother, somebody who has knowledge. And I can relate to your story because growing up, we never referred to adults by their name. It was always, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, Mr., Mrs., whatever. Then when I got in the Army, it was always sir or ma'am, which a lot of people don't like anymore, even though I still use that terminology because it just became habit, but I've always been one to show that respect to people. Even today, I don't even call my mom by her first name. It's always mom.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But I appreciate your words of wisdom, and you made some really good points there for sure.
Wow.
And yes, I do have things to say, and I will get to them soon. Your message was received loud and clear.
Yeah, great. I'm gonna hold you to that because I'd love to hear it even. Yeah, I'm glad to see that you made it back from the hospital.
Yeah, it was a long day.
Yeah, well, thank you for your words of wisdom and I appreciate you very much coming by. Thank you.
You're welcome.
MP, you got something for us? Maybe he can't talk.
Maybe driving.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, he's muted too. Maybe yeah. Okay. All right.
My eyes can't read. Is it Sharon? There he is. You unmuted.
All right, that was really good. Really, we've been discussing, both of us, about the abundance mindset. So that was really, I could see that Joy has really reflected deeply about it, and it's really blessed me too. Thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Mhm. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all.
All right, Susan. MP, cut in when you want if you want to.
Well, what part are we on now, Phil?
You're up.
Oh, yeah. Well, I thought you did an outstanding job. I mean, it's hard to give critique to you because you are just a natural. You really are natural, and you had everyone's attention. We were all leaning in to hear. And then, when you are speaking at an event and people are leaning in like that, you have them. And then, it's nice when you have the questions afterwards that you can go a little bit further in. And you did that good here tonight. And that's what it will be like when you're speaking on stage at an event. So I thought you did an outstanding job all the way through. Like I said, you're a natural. It just comes naturally. I don't feel anxious when you're speaking. I just feel you make us feel calm
Hmm.
while you're giving some things really in depth, for you, but there's a calming effect to you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Great
you.
job.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's very conversational. You're like simply just having a simple conversation with us. I would challenge you for you watch the video because I don't think you know how good you are. And I think you need to watch the video, watch the recording, so because I think you're better than you think you are.
Hmm.
You're that good. Very impressive. And the world needs your message. And there's a group of people, a bunch of individuals that need your message. We need to find a way to get you out there as much as you want to. But you're great. You really you come with the sincerity and with the transparency, with you're authentic of what you're just saying here. I'm just talking to you from my heart, and we're just having a conversation here. Now I'm going to do most of the talking first of all, but I want to let you know you're getting the real thing. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Make me feel like I already arrived. And I'm trying to say, okay, what is I need to do? Oh, I don't know what to say. Thank you.
Well, you never arrive. I've said this before. You get three speeches: the speech you plan to give, the speech you give, and the speech you wish you gave. There's three speeches in every speech. There's the one you want to say, there's what you actually said, and then there's the one you should have said.
Mm.
And if you have that, keep that in mind. You're always improving. You're always thinking, how can I make this a little bit better? How can I make that pause a little longer and let it sit a little bit better? And but you're right there. You could you could charge a significant fee once the marketing's behind you with the level of performance you're at right now. You're performing at that level.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'd be anxious to see you on stage one of these days. See how you would work the stage too, because that's part of the. Let's look at it. It's a performance that we're giving. We're giving a performance,
Mhm.
and you've done it with the flags in the background, the way you're dressed, the way you look. So you've taken what space we've given you, and you've filled that, and you've made that a performance. Now I would like to see how you do when you widen that out to have a whole stage and see how your body language would go. And I think that would be the next step that you could work on.
Okay. Well,
And you can start out by giving this for free, to women's organizations. Look at what meetings are going on in your area, and they're looking for speakers.
oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
The Kiwanis clubs, Rotary clubs, Sertoma's service to
Mhm.
mankind,
Mhm.
Chamber of Commerce, women's groups, church groups.
Oh, okay. I'll take note of that. I'll take note.
And you could use this as your demo. You could use this. This is I do a little thing for my group Density 6, and here's one I did. Why don't you take a look and see? This could be a demo reel that you could send to them. Edit some of us out, but just have your speaking. You want to know a little bit? Here's a little bit, and then just give them this as the demo.
Right,
Oh,
you just cut out the beginning and the end,
Yeah.
when you're just you speaking, the introduction when the
Mhm.
person's introducing you and then you speaking or just you speaking.
well, this is so encouraging. It's encouraging. It's so encouraging, and I just want to thank each one of you for coming back and personally because um I I I know I've spoken, but I'm getting closer to my message of who I am and what God has called me to do. And I feel comfortable. I feel that I'm among people with a bigger mind, it's more receptive and individuals who are free. And then I was reading Antonio's book, Unbounded. And it's just this is just a different place for me. And I feel I can be me. I don't know. Because I speak and then people come in, oh, I don't understand what you're saying, or you're using terms and whatever, but that we don't understand. And but I'm feeling differently being here.
Yeah, I want you, in terms of the marketing, I want you to think about what can you call yourself an expert?
Mhm,
Because we were professional speakers that has expertise.
mhm,
No, you're an expert who speaks. Which sounds better? You're an expert that speaks. That sounds a lot better than I'm a speaker who has expertise. Now you
mhm,
need to get to what would we put a label around your expertise? Like for instance, I'm working with John Calloway, and what he got, he's a bounce back expert. Teaches he has expertise on how can you bounce back from certain things because he's had so many things in his younger lives that if he didn't
mhm,
bounce back he wouldn't be where he is today because he did, and he did certain things to help him bounce back. So we're getting him to promote himself as a bounce back expert. And with what we're going to be going through here in these next few years due to the economy, due to the worldwide situation, everybody's going to need to have a skill set to bounce back, and that's kind of what he's doing. But you think about what in your life that you could call yourself an expert at, and then we build your marketing material around that, and then you take you come out to doing understanding of the client's needs and what they're trying to do in your stories, and you bring them together, and that's where you can go out there in the marketplace. That okay, it's like ours. Ours is to create results through enjoyable solutions. So we start. What results are you looking for?
mhm, mhm. That's what I
That
was feeling, Phil. That's preparing this each time I find myself moving into some place, something new and something that is a little bit more structure or lean. I find myself, um, I'm moving forward, but I'm also discovering myself and discovering things about myself. And I'm also being free from a lot of fears. But that's what I was working with. I said, well, what is happening with me? I'm coming back. I'm coming back and making reframing me, reframing
yeah,
myself.
that's what this is for. That's the purpose of what we're doing it. Just
Coming
you've given
back
what
free of fear. I'm coming back free of fear.
Mm.
You can
Yeah, I
just
didn't.
sort of
I
take those little
didn't.
things that you say
Hmm.
and then look at them for a while, and then
Hmm.
you'll come up with that sentence that of
I'm, I'm,
is
I'm,
this your third? Is this your third time doing something for us or fourth?
This is my fifth time.
Yes, wow.
Yeah, yeah. I've been gnawing at it, trying to get there.
No, you're there. You're
Yeah,
there.
you're
Now it's just we need to put the plan together.
Mhm. Okay. 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 Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
And I
Yeah.
like
Anyone
the
else?
I like the essence of grace and dignity.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
the
That,
essence of grace and dignity. Hmm.
Yeah, that's what you said tonight.
Make me sit up straight on that one.
And that's what you are.
Yeah, I got my back straight on that one. That feels good.
Mm-hmm.
The essence of grace and dignity. Ooh, that feels good.
Put that down.
Mm,
Constitution
mm.
and dignity for all.
Yeah. Ooh, that's right. Let that cup overflow. Mm, that's right.
Yeah, and that's what our country's was founded on, and we need help right now. You could be great help.
That's my focus. That's that our nation
Look at
needs
you with
it
the
because
flag behind you too.
oh I love my country.
Okay.
I love my country. I love my country and I and you know though we hear about Uncle Sam, we I don't know about you. I there's a lot that I'm learning. I dig into things and like the spirit of America is always a she. The spirit of liberty, but you had the Columbia, was her name Columbia? We had the spirit of going west, all the portraits of paintings that you see in the very early of America, directions were given in a spiritual frame with a woman leading. Check
Right.
out some of the paintings and things in the early, as the moving west, there's always a woman in a long gown or something, and she's leading the country,
Think
leading the
about
nation.
Titanic.
Mm.
Titanic.
Mm.
You know, and I shared about my grandmother coming over, the eldest of 17, and they sent her by herself, you know, on the big boat that people were coming to the land of opportunity. And she went to stay with a rich uncle, supposedly, that, you know, in Boston area. And she got a job, you know, at a wealthy family, you know, serving the meals and things like that.
Mhm.
And she would be walking to work, and my grandfather was a student at Harvard,
Mhm.
and she caught his eye. Who is that lady? She looks so precious, you know, and not fake like the all
Mhm.
those fancy women. So he inquired about her and went to, and so, you know, called on the uncle, and he said, well, you can come back and meet her in the parlor. And
Did have a poet.
and that's how they met.
Mhm.
And then they had 11 children.
Mhm.
My mom was the third one. So I grew up hearing, because my grandfather, my great grandfather was the one who got the Morse code that the Titanic was sinking. And he was in the military on a ship, and he gave the Morse code, sent it out to the nearest ships to go help. Yeah.
You got a piece of history in you. Where's the
We all
book?
have history, you know, you just have to go back and talk, you know, I used to sit, you know, as a child, and my mom and all her brothers and sisters, when we would go visit, they'd start telling the stories. And
Mm.
me as just a child, you know, sitting on the floor playing jacks or something, I heard it all. I was listening. The children listen.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Oh,
So
we did. Mhm.
that just, you know, had a lot of special meaning to me.
Mm,
and your story that you have.
mhm. Well, thank you. And one of the things I just want to speak of the truth of America. Sometimes we don't want to tell the truth, but we know the truth, and the slavery it was something that happened here, and there's dignity to be found there um, with the individuals who prayed and fought against it, the abolitionists. And I think one of the things that we fail to understand is that God was in the midst of it, because Harriet Beecher Stowe, she was the front runner of the abolitionists for women. And it all started in the church in prayers, but for some reason or another, everything has become politicalized, if there's such a word. And we see things through the democratic process, but it wasn't started that way. It was started with people who loved God and knew that that was wrong, and they were standing very strong. And that story just doesn't get told. It doesn't get told. It was because people lived and died, and men and women worked together for that. They worked together in that abolition process. And some way or another, time and certain minds get into it and put it all in a political arena, and that's not where it started. That's where it wind up, and everybody references it, amendments and amendment 13 and 14 and 15, and we voted on it, but that's not the way. The people voted spiritually prior to that, and that's what moved the hearts of the people and God to come into this place called America
It's
and
changed
bring
so
our people.
much. So
Mhm.
many people don't even believe
Hmm.
in there is a God anymore. It's a different world. That's for
It
sure.
is, but we can make a difference. We can
Yeah.
make a difference and
Yeah,
say,
it's
well,
still-
we've been
and
admit our fault, reframe this whole thing, but
Well,
be
look at the
true.
outpouring of the Pope, all over the world. See, that's hope.
They're having a special on tonight at 10 o'clock on
Oh,
ABC
yes. 10
What
o'clock
time? Where?
Eastern
At 10
time.
o'clock?
Eastern
Eastern.
time.
Okay, it's 9 o'clock here then.
Special
Okay.
Pope.
Yeah.
about
On
Wow.
ABC.
ABC.
All
Something.
right, kids.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight.
Appreciate you all so much.
Appreciate it.
Love you. Thank you.
And we need to have a speaker for next week. Anyone want to volunteer?
I guess everybody's still on a holiday.
But
You
thank
can
you
put me
again,
down
everyone.
tentative, but it's going to depend on how I'm feeling.
Okay, Tanya.
But I'll plan on it.
Great. Just reach out to me if you need to.
I will.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Thank you.
Good night,
Thank
everyone.
you. Good night.
All right.
Good
Love you
night.
more.
Thank you.
Love you more.
I mean,
Bye-bye.
good night.